speak by physically raising their hand to prevent multiple people speaking at one time. Council will verbally make a motion and a second. We do welcome speakers to address council at the public forum meeting. Council respects the right for the public to speak about matters of concern that can be addressed by council. Each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes. Zoom participants are requested to mute their microphones until they are called upon to speak. The City of Greensboro is promoting an environment that is free of discrimination, bias, and bullying. Thus, harassment, words, jokes, actions, or comments on an individual's sex, sexual orientation, race, ethnic background, age, religion, physical condition, or other legally protected characteristic will not be tolerated. In order to be considered, written comments must be submitted online through the city's website, www.greensboro-nc.gov. We do have a consent agenda this evening for items D1 through D3. These are a grouping of items that are voted on with one single vote to expedite what is believed to be routine and non-controversial. Any council member may withdraw an item from the consent agenda due to a conflict of interest or for the purpose of voting no. Items removed from the consent agenda for discussion will be placed on the September 21st City Council business agenda. This meeting does include closed captioning. Depending on the length of tonight's meeting, we will take a short recess around 7:30. We did have one written comment received for this council meeting from Cameron Roberts, who is in favor of continued downtown expansion and South Side development. We do have 13 speakers for the public forum portion of this meeting, and each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes. Let's see. So our first speakers in this order are Carl Robinson, George Jones, Fanta Dorley, and Alex Amoroso.
Madam Mayor, this is Sharon. Two of those speakers, those last two, maybe, or I think, are planning to speak on our first public hearing item, the rescue plan.
They signed up to speak as speakers from the floor on non-agenda items, but if they would like to speak at a later time, they can just indicate that.
Yes. Okay.
Mr. Robinson? I'm not sure if he has signed on. In that case, we will move to George Jones. Mr. Jones?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, Madam Mayor, and members of the City Council. My name is George Jones. I am the Executive Director for Piedmont Business Capital here in Greensboro, and I'm so excited to be a part of this meeting tonight to just say two things. One, I appreciate your support for our organization. You've been supporting my previous predecessor, Wilson Lester, and PBC, and we are extremely proud of being a part of this community, and we continue to look forward to partnerships with the city in terms of expanding small business services to communities across our region. I wanted to highlight a few of our businesses that are represented tonight and give them an opportunity as well to sort of share a little bit about their testimonies and how PBC has been supporting their opportunities for growth and expansion in this region. But first and foremost, I want to just say to you, Madam Mayor, and members of the City Council, PBC is committed. I am excited to be a part of this group. I'm excited to be a part of this chapter. I'm looking forward to expanding our efforts to really give small businesses not only aspire businesses as well as startup businesses, but really those mature businesses that are second and third generation opportunities to grow and expand. So we're looking forward to working with you all. We're looking forward to helping the city increase its ecosystem and entrepreneurship opportunities for businesses across the region. With that, I'm going to ask, if I can, Madam Mayor, to have Fonta Dorley just speak on behalf of one of our businesses, Journey Enterprises.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Dorley?
Good evening, Council. I see here my video is stopped by the moderator. So
If we could please put her video on.
I promise I'll have a smiling face.
Yes.
There I
Great.
am.
Thank you. Welcome.
No problem, no problem. I am so honored to be able to speak on behalf of some recipients from the wonderful gift of Piedmont Business Capital. I'm excited to have George Jones join the ranks. You know, I'm not going to tell you the bad part of things, but I'm glad you're in for the long haul. I am just representing my small business. I have two other partners, and it's called Journey Adult Day Center. And as of today, we are, you know, in the clear financially, and it all started because of Piedmont Business Capital back in 2018 that took a chance on us. It's just like starting a small business, and it's not just because it's Greensboro, but starting a small business is hard because it's just like trying to get an executive job. You're trying to get the opportunity, but you need experience, but you can't get experience without getting the opportunity. So Piedmont Business Capital was able to step in and give us the opportunity to explore our dream, execute our desires so that we can go ahead and help the community. We are an adult day center that take care of people ages 18 and up, specializing in elder care. And because of the need was so great, because there were some centers that changed their focus to be more geriatric care, we stepped in to take care of those that were being left aside and left on the waiting list. And unfortunately, COVID definitely increased the numbers. So Piedmont Business Capital was able to sit us down, help us meet with SCORE, come up with a solid plan, and just walk with us along the way. And you don't find that in finance companies. They basically want you to hand them a report and make sure that their return on investment looked good. But they were really, you know, just tuned into our success. I just hope that you are able to continue supporting them, because as a small business, it's hard out there to find anyone just willing to give someone a chance to do the right thing for the community. And this organization is definitely that one. Hopefully we can find some more that will follow suit. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe the next speaker would be Alex Amoroso.
You're on mute, Jill.
Please, sir. Alex, you need to unmute. Thank you. It won't be the last time we say that tonight. Don't worry.
My name's Alex Amoroso. I'm located with Cheesecake by Alex, located in downtown Greensboro. We've been in business in downtown Greensboro for, 20 years. We've seen a lot of changes. A lot of companies come and go. We've seen a lot of assistance come through the area early on with the targeted loan pool program with the city of Greensboro that helped us do our first expansion. I haven't met George yet, but I am familiar with Piedmont Business Capital. They're an important part of our community. They assisted us in our final expansion in downtown. We went with the SBA, but the SBA only covers a certain percentage of your expansions, as we all know. and Piedmont was able to step in and help us get the rest of the way. And that's important because as a small business owner, you put everything online. And you need that assistance, which typical banks aren't really willing to give initially to expand or grow a business. Small businesses, as we all know, make up the majority of our community. It's a part of what we do in our downtown and city in general. Most small businesses don't have a lot of access to capital. They don't have access to large banking, and they need an organization like Piedmont to help them get through that, to help fund the things that need to happen, whether it's startup or expansion. They need our support unconditionally. Without them, I think that a lot of the small businesses wouldn't be able to grow or even start up. So I'm here to support them and meet George. And I know the city will support Piedmont, and we will hope to spend some quality time with them in the future as we grow.
Thank you. And I don't believe that Mr. Robinson has signed on yet, but I do want to say welcome to Mr. Jones. We have built quite a relationship with PBC, and we know how important it is to our community and to local entrepreneurs. So we look forward to getting to know you and helping you expand your services.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I want to say two things. One, I've been in this space for about 20 years in the economic and enterprise space, and I've worked here in Greensboro with the university, A&T State University. I was regional director for USDOT for about 5 years from 2008, 2013. So I've got a little bit of a track history here, but I am so excited about putting in the energy, putting in the work, and building a team with capacity for growth. We think we are one of the few CDFIs in this area, and our goal is to be one of the best, if not the largest in this region. So our goal is to help you all grow, but also see our community grow leaps and bounds with economic prosperity for all. And I'm excited about it. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. And
Welcome, Mr. Jones. I just wanted to give him a quick shout out. Welcome, 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 welcome. Glad to have you. Of Piedmont Business Capital. I love what you do, what they do. So welcome.
Thank you. Looking forward to working with you.
And while we are welcoming people to our community, our next speaker is Kahari Garvin from the United Way. And I've had the opportunity to see him speak and be in the same space. And he is welcome to Greensboro also. Mr. Garvin?
Madam Mayor, thank you. And good evening to you and good evening to the city council members. I am Kahari Garvin. It's my great pleasure to see you again, Madam Mayor, and to meet many of you now. I just want to really just get to know each of you and to let you know that I'm 8 weeks in now. So this is taking the place of Michelle Gathers Clark. I'm sure that many of you know that name, but it's been my great pleasure to be part of this transition for now what has been the last 7 full weeks and now entering into my 8th. I do want to just mention this, and I will end with this set of remarks. As Madam Mayor mentioned, we did meet each other 13 days ago. It was on September 1st at Elm and Bain, and that was when we convened the community on that day to announce what we refer to now both internally and externally or publicly as the bold goal for our community, and that is to end generational poverty in the city of Greensboro. And we named a specific number of households on that day that we are looking to help to transition out of poverty, 3,000 households by the year 2030. As we see it, it is a community effort. It is a community inspired, community generated goal. We don't own it ourselves, but we are happy to be the convener and kind of the champion to lead the way, but certainly cannot do it on our own. I know that my predecessor at some point in the past spoke probably to this body about our desire to create and galvanize a network of nonprofits that would be connected in a particular way and where the services of those nonprofits in the city would be coordinated in a particular way such that they would work together to produce better outcomes for our great residents. And so the coordination would really center on producing better outcomes around financial stability, economic growth, jobs, both getting new jobs, but also job retention as well. And all of that, as we see it, is really the recipe for ending poverty and increasing the quality of life. So we refer to that network as the Integrated Service Delivery Network, or the ISDN, and we're poised to launch a pilot for this network of coordination and collaboration that will be technology enabled. We will launch that in next year, sometime around the third quarter of next year. And so we really hope to partner with the city and, of course, with many of you as well in that endeavor, and hoping that we can establish and deepen our relationship with a multi-year commitment to help partner together to eradicate poverty. So thank you so much for giving me these few minutes, and it's my great pleasure to meet you all.
Thank you. Welcome to Greensboro. And, we're very interested in, the success of the Family Success Centers. And we know that you can just continue to build on that and have a huge impact within our community. So thank you.
I'd just like to say hello and thank you. I'm one of your agencies. Happy to be one. And I'm just glad you're in Greensboro. Thank you so much for all that you're going to do and that you've already done.
Thank you for the well wishes.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ralph Thomas.
Hey, guys. Thank you, Mayor Vaughn, members of the City Council, and guests. The Greensboro Regional Realtors Association and Transit Alliance of the Piedmont jointly invite you to an outdoor public workshop on Thursday, September 23rd at between 2:30 and 5:30 at LeBauer Park. That's 208, for those who aren't familiar, 208 North Davie Street in downtown Greensboro. We're inviting you to this function because we have a competitive statewide innovative grant from NC Realtors for the purpose was to bring together allied organization, leadership, and agencies to coordinate goals and projects for not directing, but helping to consider allocation of the American Rescue Plan, or ARP, aka COVID stimulus funds, toward better connecting people in our region to jobs, housing, and services. Our mayor has agreed to come and give some words of encouragement as well. She'll be there. We would like to ask for you to be part of, or one of our allies partners to help us with this effort. We are going to, number one, help municipalities coordinate allocating current and future American Act Recovery Plan funds to better connect residents to good jobs, homes, and services. Number two, engage civic leadership, realtors, transportation departments, developers, allied nonprofits, social services providers, transit agencies, universities, and the general public in helping to influence the policies and goals for allocating those funds. The way we're going to do this is through the opportunity. The public will have an opportunity to participate in a community workshop and partners in a COVID-friendly outdoor setting while spending $25 million in outdoor play money to your favorite eligible community project. So this goes a little bit deeper. Although it's a lot of fun, it's planned to be a lot of fun, we want to invite everyone that we can to engage with this effort. We invite all the city council members because I'm sure that your districts would love to hear what you might want to say. Or it's not a political, this is not a political function, it's not a political rally. This is something for the people to hear their voice and get their voices heard as to what their needs might be.
30 seconds.
And that's about it. And again, I invite you guys to, I cordially invite you to attend.
Thank you. And we are also trying to reach out to as many people as we can to get their input on the ARP funds. And we've got a great simulator on our city's website. So if people can't make it out, I hope that they will go to the website and just Google in ARP simulator, and that also gives you the opportunity to move money around to prioritize what topics you feel are most important.
We really appreciate it, and thank you for the city, and thank you for your efforts, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Charlene Gladney.
Good evening. I'm Charlene Gladney, the founder and executive director of Operation Excel, serving Jackson Middle School students at zip code 27403 and Swan Middle School students at zip code 27405. I appeal to you to consider using ARP funds to expand after-school programming. There is a great need to combat the COVID slide in academics, as well as addressing social emotional learning for our youth. After-school programs increase proficiency in reading and math and increase social assets. At Operation Excel, we develop targeted interventions for each student. Demonstrated outcomes include a decrease in truancy and dropout rates, an increase in the accrual of credits for school completion, and increased literacy. 87% of parents were rated as more supportive of their children's education. Teachers' perceptions of students' behavior are positive, with 90% indicating that students show improvement in homework completion, interest in school, and attendance, and are significantly more likely to be eager to learn, follow school rules, think ahead about consequences, get along with others, show respect for others' rights and feelings, and persist when challenged. Additionally, fund distribution should be equitable as opposed to equal. The students who need more to succeed should be given more opportunities to succeed. I too am a United Way strategic partner, so shout out to United Way. Thank you for your funds. And just thank you, City Council, for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is James Rosa.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of City Council. I am James Rosa, Executive Director and co-founder of the Rosa Foundation. I'm just coming on here just to remind you guys about the Vente Vente Latin Festival that's coming up this weekend at Barber Park. Just want to make sure that everybody comes out and support. Also, we are going to be all state, let me get the name right. All North State Medical Society will be giving out COVID shots at this event. And we also going to be, Las Amigas will be giving out face masks as well. There will be porta potties that have hand sanitizers, and there will be some hand wash stations outside of that as well. We ask everyone to please wear their mask. And if you haven't been vaccinated, you have the opportunity to do so at this event. And here's the flyer right here. And we also want to thank all our sponsors for this event. We are winding down. It's just getting very exciting. And again, we just want to make sure that everybody come out and support. And we thank you for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosa. Our next speaker is Hester Petty.
Good evening. My name is Hester Petty. And as you know, in 1995, the U.S. Department of Justice issued a bulletin to law enforcement warning that the, quote, use of maximal prone restraint techniques should be avoided. Former police chief Wayne Scott testified at his deposition this year that while he served as a corporal in the GPD from 1999 to 2002, he witnessed the rip hobble being used as a restraint device anywhere from 5 to 10 times a month. Of those, 70 to 80% were the maximum restraint. That was just 3 years thereabouts after that warning from the DOJ. Greensboro Police Department reports from 2014 to 2018 mentioned 275 incidents where the maximum restraint, commonly called hog tying, was used. 68% of those victims were Black, 17% were people suffering from a mental health crisis. That's 19 years after the warning came out in 1995 to avoid the maximum restraint. So for years, after police departments were warned about the possibility of sudden death, the GPD persisted in using it. It wasn't until the police killing of Marcus Smith in 2018 that the public began to learn just how widespread the problems of biased policing and police violence were within the Greensboro Police Department. And for years, multiple Greensboro city managers and multiple iterations of city council, perhaps decades, have looked the other way and allowed these systemic problems to continue. And the do nothing attitude continues to this day. In a secret meeting, this city council decided not to pursue or even discuss publicly an independent investigation into the Greensboro Police Department. So it is up to us, the people of Greensboro, to take matters into our own hands. So on Tuesday, September the 21st, a community meeting will be held to begin a citywide discussion about the
30
issues
seconds.
surrounding the police killing of Marcus Smith and the Greensboro Police Department. For more information, go to info@belovedcommunitycenter.org. It will be held at New Zion Missionary Baptist Church at 7 p.m. with representatives from local community groups, and it's via Zoom for all other attendees. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Lewis Pitts.
Good evening, council members. I need not remind you that it's election year, and yet you all have known for over a month that there's credible evidence based on Greensboro Police Department body-worn recordings that in a period of less than 9 months, our police department hogtied 50 different individuals. 50 individuals, 78% of those individuals were people of color, 48%, so nearly half of those people brutally hogtied were women. Some of the hogtying victims included an elderly woman with dementia, a pregnant woman. It includes footage of police officers saying that the restraining device he uses usually always gets covered with blood. And yet in the 30 days since you've been made aware of this, none of you have looked at the body-worn cameras to explore and hold the police accountable. You have all been shockingly indifferent to this pattern and practice of police violence, degradation, and humiliation to our citizens. And this very pattern and practice of hogtying is what killed Marcus Smith 3 years ago, and for which you've spent over $1 million of taxpayer money on silk-stocking lawyers to cover it up, not to be accountable for it. And yet yesterday, when there was finally a hearing in state court on your petition to request to look at those body-worn cameras of the 50 incidents, who is there to argue the case for accountability and your full access? It's like a tragic joke. 2 foxes guarding the hen house. There's police attorney Polly Sizemore there arguing in your behalf, and there's Amiel Rosabi there arguing for the Police Officers Association. And right now, they are cooking up and drafting the language for an order
30 seconds.
that I'm sure will restrict your right to see these and will probably gag you from talking about what you see. That's why our entire community, particularly our majority non-white community, is entitled to have one advocate on council who will speak vigorously for accountability and transparency, and that is Hester Petty. And it's certainly not Mike Barber, who would be the worst.
Your time has expired.
You could make for such.
Thank you, Mr. Pitts.
Police accountability.
Thank you. I believe those are all of the speakers from the floor on non-agenda items that we have signed up.
Madam Mayor.
Madam Clerk, wait, I'm not done. Madam Clerk,
Oh, okay.
do we have all of our speakers on non-agenda items?
Yes, ma'am, I believe. And Miss Christine Hoffner changed her mind from speaking on the public hearing agenda and wanted to speak just as a speaker from the floor.
Well, that's fine. Mrs. Hightower, did you want to finish your comment? And then we'll.
I can wait to hear her, but I would like an update from the city attorney. We do have a request in for the body worn camera footage. And so I just want to be clear on that, and maybe we can get that at the end of the meeting.
And I do see that Mary Owens, who was signed up to speak, has gotten on the Zoom call. So we have two more speakers. Christine Hoffner, would you like to speak?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good evening. My name is Christine Hoffner. I'm speaking to the city's shameful response to the suit brought against it by the family of Marcus D. and Smith. Shortly after I moved here, the city issued an official apology for its and the Greensboro Police Department's involvement in the 1979 Greensboro massacre cover-up. I was so encouraged to see that. It seemed like a huge shift away from how things had been done. But there are sinister similarities between the Greensboro massacre and the treatment of Mr. Smith. Just as no police were present to protect the marchers or the community that November 42 years ago, no police who were present protected Mr. Smith when he was fatally hogtied 3 years ago this month. And in terms of a cover-up, denial of wrongdoing and blaming the victims of the massacre has been repeated in the city's behavior in the case of Mr. Smith, not to mention outright obscurantism. So I think you all would want to think twice about putting future city officials in the position of having to repeat Yvonne Johnson's personal apology so many years after the massacre. At that time, she said, "I'm sad that it took us so long to squarely face this matter." Squarely facing the matter is the honorable response, and it's important to Greensboro as a community that City Council take that route. Almost a year ago, with its apology for the Greensboro massacre, City Council took a crucial step in the right direction. It's time to do the right thing again now and justly and substantively settle the Smith family's lawsuit against the city and demonstrate that Greensboro can be a community where Black lives matter. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe we did have another speaker get on. Mary Owens, Ms. Owens.
Yes, hello. Hello, everyone. It's my first time attending City Council, but I've been working for the last month.
Ms. Owens, can you turn your camera on?
Oh, okay. Sure. Hold on a second.
Thank you.
I've been working for a few months in the 1703 area, Hidden Forest Drive area. 27405 is where we live. And I've been working with parking enforcement, different entities of the city, trying to get some type of assistance. We have mechanics in our neighborhood. It's not zoned. We have one entrance in and out of our community, and literally a mechanic on each side of the entrance of the community, which wouldn't normally be a problem if it was zone number one, and number two, if they actually worked on the cars modestly, perhaps behind a fence in the backyard. But our street is lined up like a car parade with vehicles on both sides, obstructing the view coming in and out of the community. We have children who are in the yards, children that probably are afraid to cross the street, literally one way in and out of the community, but no way for cars to pass. People literally have to pull over because we have cars lined up with both of the neighbors working on vehicles. I've been told that they have to so-called be caught working on them. They've gotten creative from the city and told me they will look for expired tags, things of that nature. It's just concerning to me because I know I've been in Greensboro all my life. I go to different zip codes, and I know some communities wouldn't allow that. 27410 and other areas that I know very well, you can't even think about leaving an abandoned car on the side of the street for 24 hours. So I'm trying to understand how or what can be done about this. It looks junky. It makes our properties look bad. And it is a safety hazard because you cannot come in and out of the main street at So Webbing Mill Road because you're playing chicken with the oncoming main traffic as they come into the community because literally 10 to 12 cars are lined up. And they've told me they looked at the cameras on the street cameras and they can see the cars lined up. But I would really like to bring that to the attention because I know that that's not happening all over Greensboro, even though it may be a problem. What, if anything, can be done at this point? So I wanted to address it. Thank you.
Ms. Owens, thank you for coming forward with that complaint. And I can assure you that we have people on this call who will be looking into it tomorrow and hopefully come up with a solution to your problem. Because I agree that nobody would want cars up and down the street that are in disrepair.
Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate your time on the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
And make sure we have your address. Please make sure we have your address.
And I believe Assistant City Manager Davis wanted to speak to this.
Yeah, same thing that Councilwoman Hightower was just asking. I just want to make sure I get the address in the area that you're speaking of, Ms. Owens.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll be sure to submit that. What is the best way to submit that? Via email?
Madam Mayor,
I can look it up.
Okay, certainly. Okay.
Put it in the chat. You can put.
For the sake of time, I'll put it in the chat right now for everyone.
I'm sorry, the chat has been disabled for the council meeting, but Ms. Owens, I have your contact information from our correspondence earlier today, so I can get that for you and forward it to council and Assistant City Manager Davis.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. And we did have one other speaker join us who was signed up, Carl Robinson. Mr. Robinson?
Yes, I don't want to speak, Madam Mayor. I appreciate it, but I don't want to take up any more time. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. And Mr. Jones did a great job talking about PBC, and so did Fantadorli and Alex Amorosa. So thank you for coming on to support them. And we know we'll be talking to you about it soon.
Thank you.
Sure. Sharon, I think you were holding a comment in abeyance.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I just wanted to get the city manager, city attorney to update us on the request for the body worn camera video that we had, that I think I asked for. And I realized there's a process. So I'm not trying to at all circumvent process. I want to legally and legitimately get the request done so that we have the opportunity to see 50 body worn camera. I think we've done some things around some of the issues that have come up tonight, but I would like to see that. And so I just want the city attorney to address that if he has a minute, if he feels it's appropriate, if he feels it is appropriate.
Sharon, I do want to say it's 50 cases. It's about
okay.
210 videos, which is about 167 hours.
That's okay.
Yes, it is. It is. But I just wanted to clarify that it's not 50 videos, it's 50 cases. Correct. And I do know that, and Attorney Watts, you can certainly speak to the fact that the city was advocating for that in court yesterday.
Yes, we were. We are following the law and the procedures that are required under the statute that allows for disclosure. Polly Sizemore is an assistant city attorney and is part of the city attorney's office. Her portfolio is the police department, but she was representing the city to get these videos disclosed. She is probably the most competent person on my staff for doing this. I have personally supervised her doing it in the past, and she's a former judge in that courthouse and very experienced in doing this process. I'm very comfortable in her work with respect there too. There are some issues that the judge was allowing Mr. Wasabi and Polly to try to reach an accommodation on, having to do with disclosure of police identification and so forth. But I'm sure this matter will be resolved in the next few days, and we will be making arrangements for you all to see the video.
Thank you, Mr. Watt.
Sure.
Thank you. At this point, that closes comments for speakers from the floor. I don't believe I have any others. We'll now move on to the consent agenda. Does anybody need to remove an item to vote no, or for a conflict of interest?
Madam Mayor, I don't have the consent agenda. I don't have the e-scribe. I cannot pull it up. And the last one I had 31st. So
okay, well, there are,
if we can flash it on the screen, maybe.
So item number D1 is a resolution authorizing contract in the award in the amount of $289,000 to United Behavioral Health for administration of the Live Work Well Employee Support Program. And the other two items are budget adjustments.
Move the item.
Second.
So it is.
Nothing that involves MWBE?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Move the item.
So it was moved by Mrs. Johnson and I believe seconded by Dr. Wells. So I am a yes. Mrs. Hightower?
Yes.
Dr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Outling?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoffman?
Sorry, yes.
Mrs. Thurm?
Yes.
Mrs. Abuzawader?
Yes.
And Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Yes.
And that passes 8-0. We now move on to the public hearing portion of our agenda. We have two people signed up to speak to item E1, which is a public hearing to receive public comment on the American Rescue Plan funds. I have a Travis Burrell and a Mike Yao. Mr. Burrell?
Madam Mayor, I do not see that he has joined the meeting.
Thank you. I do see that Mr. Yao has.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. My name is Mike Yao. I'm the president and CEO of Fellowship Hall, which is located here in Greensboro. We are a drug and alcohol recovery center. We've been here for be 50 years in December. And we're a 501c3 agency that's born of the business community from here in Greensboro at our inception. And we're making a respectful request for some of these American Rescue Plan funds to assist us with some recovery assistance as a result of the pandemic and its impact. And being a nonprofit, we thought it appropriate to ask for this funding. Just real briefly, we're an organization that offers substance use disorder treatment to those suffering with substance use disorders. We're a 99-bed nonprofit, as I said, in the program, and we propose is medical access. The pandemic has been quite impactful on our census and the people who were seeking treatment, not just here, but across the state and across the country, quite frankly. Our census has been off anywhere between 15 to 40% over the past 18 months. And very specifically, in a calendar year, we treat roughly about 100 Greensboro residents very specifically. About 91% of our people come from around North Carolina. And we have a lot of people from Guilford County, but Greensboro residents specifically are typically around 100 people And in the past 18 months, with those numbers being so impacted, we've had about 55 people come in from treatment from Greensboro. So we're probably lacking, very specifically Greensboro residents, around 45 people in the fiscal year. So to that end, our losses have been pretty significant. And we think good use of that money, as we see it earmarked, we would make a respectful request for about $945,000 to cover some of our losses and to enable us to continue what we think is life-saving work here in the Greensboro area and Greensboro community, as well as the other areas that we draw people from for our census. We hope you will take that into consideration for a good use of that money as we see it earmarked.
Thank you, Mr. Yao. Of course, we need any requests put in writing. So, if you could put a proposal and send it into council, we will look at it for consideration. I do want to also mention to people that the county received about $104 million in ARP funds, in addition to the $92 million that they got from the COVID funds. The county is also having some public hearings. You could go to the county website, but they've got one on September 20th, 22nd, 23rd, 27th, and 29th in areas throughout the county to make it convenient. You could also, I believe, get on Zoom, and they have a survey which you could find at the county's website. So we are not the only municipality with ARP funds, but certainly I would encourage people to engage with the county commissioners as well.
Thank you. We'll get that proposals out to you tomorrow, we hope.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
So we now move on to our general business agenda. We have one
Madam
item.
Mayor, I'm sorry. Could I get a motion to close the public hearing, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Hightower, seconded by Mrs. Thurm. All in favor by affirmation, please. And that passes unanimously. We now move on to the general business portion of our agenda. Item F1 is a resolution authorizing encroachment agreement between the City of Greensboro and Flock Corp. For encroachment to install cameras, poles, and other appurtenances at various locations within the city for public safety purposes. Do I have a motion? Moved by Mrs. Thurm.
Can I just ask, have the locations been chosen, or is this for a specific location? It says various locations, but who is Flock Group? Is that the company we getting the cameras from? Because it says it's an encroachment agreement.
Mr. Davis,
and an encroachment is on somebody's land. So
could be our land too.
Yeah,
Mr. Davis?
Is that for Larry Davis or for me, Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Trey Davis, since this, I believe, is a public safety issue. But you can pass it off to your cousin if you want.
So, and I saw Attorney Watts chime in as well. We've had a number of different departments working on this because of the brevity of what it's going to take. This ultimately is allowing the police department to partner with our transportation department to implement the license plate readers. What you see as the different locations are the locations where the license plate readers will be placed. All of the language that you see has been prepared by legal so that all of the components of us accessing and utilizing the cameras for the reasons that we purchased them for are proper.
Thank you. And this is part of the overall, the chief's overall strategic plan.
It is. It is.
So I did have a motion by Mrs. Thurm. Do I have a second?
Well, before somebody second,
I do. Mrs. Johnson did a second.
Well, I still want to ask, I'm looking at the locations now, and they've got District 1, but they got Spring Garden Street. Can I get some clarity?
So the locations are based upon their analysis that is done by their crime analysts. And so the locations are where we have had more frequency of crimes and incidents. And also we had to make sure that the placement of the cameras was going to yield the best results as it relates to us trying to address the violent crime that we see.
Right, but Spring Garden Street's not in District 1, so that's why I'm asking the question. How did that get designated as District 1? Is that Patrol Police District 1?
Yes, ma'am, it is. What you see is noted by the police districts. And so if you see in District 2, it would be Police District 2, which normally correlates to Council District 1.
Gotcha. Okay. That's why I wanted some clarity around. That's why.
Yeah, so I think if you look there, there's some that are on the East Market corridor as well as in the MLK corridor.
All right. Thank you for that clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
So we do have a motion by Mrs. Thurm and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Johnson. Mrs. Hightower?
Yes.
Dr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Outling?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Thurm?
Yes.
Ms. Abuzawader?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Yes.
And I am a yes, so that passes 8-0. Thank you. And that is the only item we had on the general business agenda. We will now move into consideration of at-large candidates. Candidates for the at-large council seat will be allotted 3 minutes to address City Council. Several candidates were disqualified due to not meeting the requirements to live within the city limits or being a registered voter, and several candidates have withdrawn their applications. Council will hear from candidates alphabetically. Please leave your camera and microphones off until called upon. Madam Clerk, I'm going to call them in the order that you have them listed. If somebody has withdrawn or did not sign on, if you could please let me know at that time. Our first candidate is Mr. Mike Barber.
You see me, Madam Mayor?
Yes, you're good.
Very good. Mike Barber, 5828 Cardinal Way, Greensboro, District 5. Our honorable mayor and our honorable city council, first of all, thanks for giving us the opportunity to do this. There are many qualified and excellent candidates that have signed up on the list. I know there are a number of factors that all of you will consider as you fill this position. And in thinking about what the council will face over the next 7 or 8 months, I think there are things in my experiences and skill sets that might give us some value or benefit. In the area of experience, I've had the honor to serve 5 terms in local government and have stayed informed over the past 3 years. So there'll be a little bit of a learning curve, and I feel like I could be an effective team member immediately. During the last 20 to 25 years, and during that period of service, I've served on a number of both local and state boards and commissions. Also, as you continue the process of filling the city manager's position, I've taken part in half dozen city and county manager hiring processes. So I'm familiar with what you're currently having to address in that area. I'm familiar with the relationship between council and the city legal department. And as you evaluate a lot of legal matters before you, many of the matters you're managing were active in 2017, and I'm familiar with them. I've been involved with a number of local government bonds over the years, and I'm very familiar with that process. One council member said to me in the last couple of weeks that these bonds are both needed and transformative, and I certainly believe she's correct. I'm familiar with much of the city staff, have continued to work with them since 2017, and have known many of them for years. This too would flatten any type of learning curve. Also, this council has a strong reputation in the area of community relations. I've always enjoyed fielding citizens' calls and helping navigate to a solution. Other factors that I would ask you to consider is in 2017, during the election season, I finished 3rd in the primary, which would have given me a seat on this council, and finished 4th in the general election. Both show that I'm ready, willing, and able to serve, and I do have some community and private sector support. Finally, I look forward to supporting the initiatives you've developed over these last few years and being a part of the consensus building and compromise that you've displayed thus far. And when we got the chance, I'd also like to say this council faced two unprecedented challenges last
30
year and
seconds.
successfully led us through them. And, we often celebrate what happens, but in this case, we should celebrate what could have happened in Greensboro but didn't. And Mayor, for your leadership and the leadership of this council, we got through a very difficult 2020. And all citizens should be grateful for that. I hope you'll consider me for this opportunity. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to be heard.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Our next speaker, T. Diane Bellamy Small, I believe had a conflict with tonight. Is that true,
Yes.
Madam
Yes,
Clerk?
ma'am.
So our next speaker is Brenton Boyce.
Greetings, Madam Mayor, council persons, and citizens of Greensboro, North Carolina. My name is Brenton Boyce, happily married for 4 years to my wife, Crystal. We have no children. I reside in the 3rd District of Greensboro. I've been living here since 1999, born and raised in Gastonia, North Carolina, which is a part of Gaston County. I moved here in 1999, essentially when my parents dropped me off at North Carolina A&T State University, where I received my bachelor's in economics in 2003. I lived here that entire time and moved away for 3 years to Durham, North Carolina to attend law school at North Carolina Central University. Graduated, earned my Juris Doctor degree in 2007, then promptly moved directly back to Greensboro, where I've essentially lived ever since, except for 1 year where I practiced law at a firm in Charlotte. I spent the bulk of my adult life in Greensboro. I grew up here, even though I'm not born and raised here. I consider this place home, and I'm proud to be here and proud to have started a family here and plan to be here for the foreseeable future, probably the rest of my life. I love this place. I also teach at North Carolina A&T State University, practice law here in Guilford County, in Greensboro, where I have my own law firm. I've been running my firm since 2013, so roughly 8 years. Also teach at North Carolina A&T, where I taught in the criminal justice department for 9 years, then transitioned to the liberal studies department, where I now teach. I teach classes in human law and human rights and law and social change. So I enjoy civics. I enjoy government. I was recently, or for the last approximately 4 years, I've served on the Solid Waste Commission, where I was appointed by Justin Outland. And it's been a pleasure to serve the community in that capacity and learn just about how things work. I also serve as a board member of the Gate City Charter Academy, where I get to be a part of educating children. I decided, of course, to take advantage of this opportunity because I wanted to get off the sidelines and become an active
30 seconds.
participant in Greensboro government and helping my people and representing the people of Greensboro. So I count it as an honor to be here tonight, and I thank you for your ears.
Thank you, Mr. Boyce. The next person we have signed up is Stephen Burns.
Madam Mayor, I do not see that Mr. Burns has joined the meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Harold Clayton.
Hello, I'm here.
Mr. Clayton, can you put your camera on?
It was. It is not now for some reason, and I'm trying to sort that out.
Okay.
Here we go. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members, for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My given name is Harold Clayton, but all my friends call me Tinker and have since I was very young. So you're all invited to just call me Tinker. I am a husband, father of 3 adult children, and a Greensboro small business owner. I was born and raised in Durham, but came to Greensboro in 1981 to attend UNCG, where I studied business and marketing. While there, I met my wife, and later we started a family, bought a home that we've lived in on New Garden Road East, if anyone knows where that is, for over 30 years. And we ultimately started 2 businesses, both located south of the tracks downtown. one of those is now 28 years old and the other just celebrated 10 years. I understand business, how to work with a wide variety of people day in and day out, how to make and abide by a budget, and how to meet payroll through good times and bad. I also understand how important it is for the city and businesses to communicate effectively and work hand in hand to create a positive and open environment between us so we can collectively move forward and grow both individually and as a community. I love Greensboro, I love its people. I take pride in the beauty and the livability of our city, and I introduce as many friends and family as I can to Greensboro as often as I can when they visit and that sort of thing. I believe there's more opportunity in Greensboro per square mile than just about any place I know, and I would like to be a part of continuing to move forward and make Greensboro better. My family has encouraged me actually for the last several years to step up. I'm 58 years old and in some ways looking for what's next. And I've always had a heart for service and wanted to put myself out there. I really want to be a voice for our residents and for small businesses on the council if given the opportunity. And I thank you all for your attention, and I would appreciate your vote. That's my time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Our next speaker is Roger Cooper.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Cooper is not online.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Daniel Kraft.
Hello.
Hello, can you put your camera on?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm having trouble with camera. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Give me one more second. If I can't get the camera, I'll just proceed.
Okay.
Okay. Madam Mayor, members of council, thank you for letting me speak today. My few comments. This position requires many skills for success. Civic involvement, awareness, plus business experience, I think are critical to this position. And I'm going to share with you just a few of my experiences. I spent 6 years on the board of Downtown Greensboro Incorporated, 2 years as board chair. And one of the more interesting and long-term things we did was implemented the Business Improvement District, which is an important revenue stream for our downtown. And we all agree a vibrant downtown is crucial. Second, I served on the board of Preservation Greensboro, very rewarding, helping preserve Greensboro's history and buildings. Very rewarding. Third, probably the most interesting and rewarding experience was a 6-year term on the SEMLA Foundation board. We helped hundreds of Greensboro nonprofits. It was very interesting to learn about the nonprofits and how we could aid in their success. Finally, I have a deep understanding about how to run a business. My brother and I ran a business for 30 years, 55 employees with a budget in excess of $5 million, real world stuff. So I have the skills, I have the time, and I do think I have the knowledge to be a successful council person. And I appreciate you hearing me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kraft. Our next speaker is Justin Fennell.
Madam Mayor, he is not in the meeting.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Teresa Furman.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Tracy Furman, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you this evening. In 1993, on my own, I bought my first house in Baltimore City, scaring my mother to death. It was a 12-foot wide row house with a famous marble stoop. When I bought the house, most of my neighbors were about 90 years old, but things were changing fast. Within 2 years, I, with some neighbors, started the Canton Neighborhood Association. I recognized our neighborhood of 12,000 people needed to be able to talk to City Hall about what was happening in our neighborhood. We had organized ourselves, and I had worked to convince people that had lived there 50 years and people who had lived there 5 minutes that their concerns mattered. By working together, we could ask for change. And as a neighborhood association, we were able to have a new dog park put in, upgrade the neighborhood square, streetscape on our main road, and have new trees installed in all our sidewalks. I was 27 years old. Fast forward to the year 2000, I moved my young family back to Greensboro because I knew this was the right place to raise my children. I immediately became involved in the Dunleith Neighborhood Association, where I served as an officer on and off for 7 years. While these positions often are thankless, I knew it was important work. I've lived and worked in many communities in Greensboro, currently residing in Westerwood. My kids attended Peeler Open School near Barber Park for over a decade. I've worked downtown in East Greensboro, and I currently have nonprofit and for-profit work that takes me all over the city. I'm involved in many organizations whose purpose generally is to make our community stronger. This includes being a life member of the NAACP, Business Professional Women of North Carolina, and others, because I truly believe in the mission of equity for all. Greensboro is who I am. My academic qualifications to serve on city council are in accounting, business management, and master's work in policy and government at Johns Hopkins. I'm also a City Academy graduate, and I serve on the Minimum Housing Standards Commission. The calling I had in my 20s to organize my neighbors to bring positive change is the same calling I feel today. I see Greensboro that is ripe for expansion. I see a need to bring more equity and consensus. I understand the very important decisions that need to be made in the very near future, and I am ready to be a part of that decision-making. Every street in Greensboro should be welcoming with clean streets, safe, affordable houses, and grocery stores within reach.
30
Businesses
seconds.
should be able to depend on the city to foster growth. We are a perfect whistle stop between the mountains and the ocean, and we should accommodate our tourists and visitors in the most welcoming way. In summary, I'm a mother, accountant, business owner, volunteer, and public servant with a track record of working in our community. My friends and colleagues tell me I'm even-tempered and level-headed. Thank you for your full consideration. I would like to have the opportunity to bring a fresh perspective and continue my passion to make Greensboro the best city in North Carolina.
Thank you. Our next speaker is, Dr. LaToya Gaithers. She submitted a video, but I do believe that we want people to speak in person. That way, if there is a question, council, is that your in person? Okay, I'm getting some feedback.
I think that's more than reasonable, Mayor.
Right.
Okay.
And I understand her conflict. I really do. But there was somebody who submitted something in writing too. Are you going to read that if you show the video? I think
No.
Okay.
I mean,
right. So, yeah, in person
Okay.
is probably.
Is that the consensus of council? I believe it is. Thank you. Our next speaker is Robin Guest.
I'm here.
Thank you.
Hi, Madam Mayor. Thank you, and thank you to council for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening. I'm going to keep my presentation really short and sweet. So I'm a lifelong resident of Greensboro. I am a single owner operator of my own business. I'm a mother of 5. I have 3 children that are currently in school in 3 different schools in the community. And I'm blessed with the opportunity daily because of having children of different ages in different schools, through the variety of people that I get to interact with through my work and through my work with the Boy Scouts in my community, to interact with a lot of different ages of people and groups. And I feel that would make me a good candidate to sit for just this interim term. I don't have any political aspirations of continuing on council. I do not have any intentions of running for election in the spring, but I would like to roll up my sleeves and get involved and be a voice for the people that I interact with on a regular basis and the citizens of Greensboro. I also have been told and can self-attest that I'm a very open-minded person. I would enjoy the opportunity to sit on the council, to be a voice for all of those that I interact with that are residents of Greensboro, and also, most importantly, to listen and to find out more about the concerns of our residents and how I can help solve problems in our town. And that's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dorothy Goebel.
Hi, my name is Dory Goebel, 1402 West Ridge Road, District 4. I'll wave up the street to Nancy. Vaughn, Mayor Vaughn. Have you ever been working on a big puzzle, say like 1,000 pieces, and you look and look and look for that one particular piece that you just cannot find, and then your spouse or your child walks up, looks for like a minute, and then pops the piece into place? That's because they bring fresh eyes and a new perspective. Greensboro is a fabulous place to live. Location in the Piedmont, long history, great people. Right now, there are some big puzzle issues Greensboro is dealing with: public safety, sustaining economic development, homelessness and the need for affordable housing, and geographically balancing access to vital resources. I have lived in Greensboro for 31 years. I have volunteered in many areas across the city, and God put it on my heart to apply for this appointment. I can be fresh eyes and a new perspective on the puzzle pieces, good and bad and challenging, that City Council is working on. Right now, I am not running for the at-large seat in the 2022 election. I am not asking to be appointed tonight so that I can win the seat long-term by 5 of your votes over the majority of Greensboro residents in the election. What I am asking of you, Mayor Vaughn, Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, and Council Theater, Hightower, Wells, Outling, Hoffman, and Thurm, is to appoint me for the next 8 or 9 months, or whenever the election is, to be an active seat holder. And I am asking that we commit to working together from common ground to build a better Greensboro. I am asking to be an unexpected choice for this appointment, to be fresh eyes and a new perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next speaker is Callie Griggs.
Madam Mayor, Ms. Griggs nor Mr. Goldston have joined the meeting.
Okay. Our next speaker is Hugh Holston.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of council. First, let me thank the council for the process in which you've allowed interested persons to submit applications expressing interest in this open seat. I am Hugh Holston. I am a 32-year resident of Greensboro. I've worked here, I've played in Greensboro, and I've raised a family. I'm an applicant for the open seat, and I'm offering my skills and experiences in 3 critical areas: civic, the city engagement, and business. On the civic side, I have a long-term and long record of volunteerism, inclusion, and helping to improve our city a little bit better each and every day. Some of the examples of my commitment to the civic engagement are working with the Community Theater of Greensboro, chairing the African American Leadership Group at the United Way, service with the NCCJ of the Piedmont Triad, and also serving as vice chair of the Greensboro Housing Coalition. Next, in my city engagement with boards and commissions, that has helped me to truly understand the tremendous responsibility and accountability to my fellow citizens when you're aligning your personal needs with the city's needs. In that area, I currently serve as the chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I've previously served as chair of the Board of Adjustments. On the business side, I've been fortunate enough to work with some wonderful organizations in this area: Wells Fargo, AT&T, Lincoln Financial. In those organizations, I was able to hone and build my skills in strategic planning, finance, operations, customer service, economic development on the private, nonprofit, and small business side. And I'll be looking forward to leveraging those skills with the complex issues and matters that come before council. And I talked about business, I talked about the city engagement, talked about the civic engagement, but there's always a common denominator, several common denominators, and they are people, outcomes, and the quality of life. And I am committed to each and every one of those tenets. I'm committed to representing everyone. I'm committed to having a voice, but I'm also committed to respecting the voices of others. I'm also committed to collaborating and communicating with my fellow council members and also with the constituents for the greater good. So I'm prepared and I'm ready to continue my service, my community service, into public service for the city of Greensboro, and I'll be proud, honored, and humbled to do so as a member of the Greensboro City Council. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to my wife, my son, my family, and friends for their support given me during this journey. Thank you so much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Holston. Our next speaker is Matthew Kennedy.
Mr. Kennedy is not in the meeting, Madam Mayor.
Our next speaker is Joel Landau.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. Mr. Landau and Mr. Leedy emailed saying they were unavailable tonight.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Gary McCants.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Yvonne Johnson, and members of City Council. I'm Gary McCants, and I reside at 1101 North Elm Street. I'm asking for your support and your vote tonight to fill the vacant seat of at-large. I have 31 years of experience in business, also working with community-based organizations. One of the organizations that you talked with tonight was the Piedmont Business Capital, where I chaired that organization when it was the Greensboro Community Development Fund. And I was the person that helped recruit Wilson Lester to transform Greensboro Community Development Fund, and now it's Piedmont Business Capital. Some very good people there. They do a lot of hard work. I'm also the Economic Development Chair for the NAACP State and Local. I have worked with the City of Greensboro as MWBE Chair. In 2011, I was appointed by City Manager Denise Turner Roth and Sandy Nierman during that time. Actually helped them develop the MWBE plan that we're working from. I served on Wells Fargo's advisory board. I served in capacity with North Carolina A&T State University with their entrepreneurship program. Over the past 31 years, I have been committed. I have been influenced by all the community leaders that I work with, particularly not just in North Carolina, but in Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. And so I have built those relationships over the past 31 years. If you talk about working with the Chamber of Commerce, I was the person that used to meet with Jim Westmoreland at that time when he was city manager, talking about how we can make significant impact with small African-American owned businesses. He found the Minority Business Accelerator. I contracted with the Greensboro Chamber. I drove to Cincinnati to meet with the Chamber in Cincinnati and business owners to bring back the Minority Business Accelerator so we could launch that program here in Greensboro. So I've been very, very active, certainly active with my fraternity, Omega Psi Phi fraternity, was the boss list for a number of years. We do great community service in Greensboro. And I'm the Economic Development Chair for the Omegas in North and South Carolina. So I'm committed to economic development. I want to be a part of this process. I ask for your support and vote. I'll also say that I've worked on 3 disparity studies, as you know, and still working on the Guilford County disparity study as we speak. So I want to be a part of this process. I think I can work with all the council members and the mayor, and I ask for your support and vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Christopher Meadows.
Madam Mayor, Christopher Meadows nor John Merritt have joined the meeting.
Okay. Derek Mobley.
Hey, everybody, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So thank you. My name is Derek Mobley. I'm a resident of District 3 in the city of Greensboro. So I'm originally from Lexington, North Carolina. I've lived in the Piedmont Triad for most of my life, but my family has ties to Greensboro that go back several decades. So we've been Spartans and Aggies and local educators. And I personally chose to move here 12 years ago for graduate school. So I have a master's degree in economics from the Bryan School. I also have a bachelor's degree in the same subject from Chapel Hill. And with that comes over a decade of professional experience in data science and financial analysis with some of the largest companies in our region. So the Volvo Group and BB&T, now Truist. I also believe in volunteering my time with the civic and nonprofit groups in our city. So I'm a graduate of the Greensboro City Academy. I've served as board president for the JCs, for the Bryan School Alumni Association. I've also served on the Guilford County Transportation Advisory Board. I also volunteer my time. I've been a chairman for the Wyndham Championship for the past 5 years. And I've also had the honor of representing our community at the state level as a state president of the JCs. And I'm also a recent graduate of Leadership North Carolina. I'm co-chairing their environmental summit next year. So I think my background and experience have helped prepare me for this level of public service. Now, I understand this is going to be a significant appointment because the council has a lot of near-term decisions that are going to shape our city's future for the next decade or more. So we've got to hire a new city manager. We're trying to prudently spend tens of millions in ARP funding. We're trying to, retain the ACC headquarters. We're redrawing our districts. We're trying to safely navigate this latest COVID wave. We've got a goal next year to increase the supply of affordable housing. We're trying to address, fatigue and staff shortages among our first responders. And I'm sure I could go on. I'm sure you're familiar with all these issues. So if I'm appointed to this position, I'm going to focus on using this limited time to make sure we rise to these challenges effectively. So I would not be running in the upcoming city elections. And I really think I could add a lot of value over the next 9 months because I've interviewed managers and executives for Fortune 500 companies. I've managed business and volunteer projects that have multi-million-dollar budgets. I've successfully prepared and defended some pretty complex business cases. And I've even had experience navigating competing interests that come with mapping territories with bank branch networks and dealer networks. So that's the professional reasons. And finally, just from a personal standpoint, so I moved here to Greensboro 12 years ago for school. I was a new college grad. I was worried about my future because it was during the financial crisis. But today I'm married to my wife, Penwan, that I met here. I've got a great job, 2 wonderful kids, Gregory and Jacqueline. So all that's happened to me over the past 12 years in Greensboro. So I'd really appreciate the opportunity to make the next 12 years really great and give other people stories like that. So I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jason Norris.
Mr. Norris has not joined the meeting.
Thank you. Blake Odom.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members. I first want to say I want to extend my gratitude for her service, the Grace, our Madam Pro Tem, as we call her affectionately, Mary Yvonne Johnson, and she knows why. It's a myriad of reasons. But I applied for this vacancy after speaking with several community leaders who thought that I may be an appropriate fit. Just you all have my resume. I don't have to go down the boards that I sit on and so on and so forth. But just as a point of reference for the general public, while serving in this area, I have amassed a strong reputation for leadership within this community. Even as a motivational speaker here and a nonprofit consultant, I was invited to open as a preliminary speaker on behalf of the late iconic civil rights leader, Congressman John Lewis, during his visit to Greensboro, promoting voting, participation, and civic engagement. I've been very involved since I've been in this community. My track record of being involved on a local level does not just stop in Greensboro. I was very heavily involved in helping Mayor Karen Weaver in Flint, Michigan, sound the alarm on a very serious problem, the Flint water crisis. I was involved in that as well. I applied because you all have seen the support that has come in behind me. And I just want to say that as a young progressive leader in the city, you all may know me from running for Board of Education, almost beating the incumbent, falling short by about 71 votes out of 38,000 people in our community, in our local triad community. So I applied because I bring a different perspective to the council. We have to understand that this appointment is a temporary appointment. So a lot of important work has to be done in a very short amount of time, but that important work is not enough to turn this big ship in the middle of the water. It is enough to start to point it in the right direction for the person who will come in and take the seat after the election. But there has to be a cultural paradigm shift to set the foundation for what is next for Greensboro. I bring an aerial view of a number of issues because I am connected to leaders. I serve as a bridge to established leadership in the community, business leaders, our local school system.
30 seconds.
Young people, charging them up to get out and vote and being involved civically. I want to say that I support the council's decision in whatever way you go. And I also want to say that I respect the process. I thank you all for considering me. Thank you to all of you. I've had conversations with all of you. And I want you to know that I think our relationships have strengthened out of these conversations. And whatever your decision is, please know that I respect it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Odom. Our next speaker is Jacqueline Perkins.
Madam Mayor, it does not appear that Ms. Perkins is in the meeting.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Hester Petty.
Good evening. My name is Hester Petty. Live at 3402 Canterbury Street here in Greensboro, North Carolina. Let me start by saying I am not a politician. I have no intention of running for a city council seat in 2022. Notwithstanding Lewis Pitt's endorsement, my sole intention tonight is to remind you of what Councilwoman Kennedy stood for and why her replacement should reflect her progressive values. Ms. Kennedy wasn't a politician, but she was a public servant in the best sense of the term. And she was elected to her at-large seat because of her progressive views by people who shared those views. Her seat needs to be filled by a progressive, and her constituents deserve to have a progressive representation during the last months of her tenure. We need someone who will vote as she would have voted. Things like MWBE accountability, affordable housing, truly affordable housing, a settlement in the Smith family lawsuit that reflects that Black Lives Matter in Greensboro, the problem of racial profiling and police misconduct within the Greensboro Police Department. Ms. Kennedy wanted an open discussion about an investigation into the Greensboro Police Department. This issue will not go away, and we need someone in her seat who will continue to fight for a police department that is accountable to the public. If you don't choose a progressive applicant, you will deny representation to many people in Greensboro. Please, we don't need someone just using this as a stepping stone. There's some issues that need to be resolved in the next few months, and we need a progressive replacement for Ms. Kennedy. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Rebecca Phillips.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I appreciate the time to advocate for the open Council at Large position. My name is Becky Phillips, and I'm a resident of District 4 and business owner in Greensboro. As a resident, I bring more than 35 years of experience utilizing city services and having my children attend Guilford County schools. As a business owner, I also bring more than 35 years of experience in administration, operations, budget, and management. I have held leadership positions with athletic and nonprofit organizations. I have also worked as a collegiate mentor and held leadership positions with the National Industry Association. Being an entrepreneur means I am naturally a risk taker, but also commit to full understanding of goals, resources, and system management. My combination of experiences makes me uniquely qualified to serve my community at this point in our history. I believe that all people, wherever they are from or look like, are striving for the same things: to be known, to be heard, and to have their own identity recognized and seen as worthy. I have worked with others to foster economic development for all within the city's MWBE program and other initiatives. During my work, I have learned to listen and learn from different voices. Those discussions solidified even more my beliefs that equality does not necessarily lead to equity. I firmly believe that equitable economic development across our city will generate leadership for us within the Triad region, our state, and nation. We have historically been leaders in civil rights. We now need to be leaders in economic rights. The local NAACP chapter has been running informative town halls called the Green Color Line about the connections between business and household economics, and while linking many of the social issues of our communities, including housing, food, education, and crime. It is imperative that city leaders embrace what dynamic economics can mean to our community and our common goals. The current health and social justice crises have created opportunities for us to engage in real change for our community and its future. Effectively manage the influx of funding and the recognition of needs can result in fundamental change. We will need to tackle long-term problems
30
and
seconds.
create innovative programming to move forward. I think I can contribute the skills, energy, and commitment to this position to help our city move forward towards its true position of recognizing the equal worth and dignity of all people who live within our boundaries. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mrs. Phillips. Our next speaker is Jeffrey Roberts.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jeff Roberts. I live at 5 Nealtown Way here in Greensboro, North Carolina. I've been a resident of Greensboro since 1988. I want to offer my service to Greensboro for these next 6, 7, 8 months to be a voice for the voiceless. I think many of you are familiar or aware 30% of the school-age children in Greensboro live in poverty. And we're doing a lot of talk about small businesses and business development, and that's good. But we need to improve the quality of life of all the residents of Beaufort County, of Greensboro. And we have resources in Greensboro that can be used to improve that quality of life. We have 14 acres, a 14-acre urban park off Franklin Boulevard and Holmes Chapel Road that needs programming. There's some playground equipment being added. There's a parking lot that has been built, has been expanded, but soccer fields, flag football fields, families can come out and cheer for their kids. We want kids to grow up in a situation where they're not going to set a police car on fire in the police office parking lot. They're not going to come downtown and have a shootout in front of the courthouse. We need to have some long-range planning, When I came to Greensboro in 1988, you probably couldn't buy, it would be difficult to buy a hamburger in downtown Greensboro after 6:00 p.m. But the citizens of Greensboro, the city council made a long-range plan to develop downtown Greensboro. And today, from 1988, is night and day difference as far as downtown Greensboro being a very livable, a very active, good for small businesses, good for commercial work. So when Greensboro decides, and when Greensboro takes a lead, or when the city council takes a lead, it makes a long-range commitment to Greensboro, things happen, successful things happen. There was a comment made earlier or some weeks ago about crime. Crime always happening in District 1 and District 2.
30 seconds.
it's been that way for years. If we make a concerted effort to change things for our kids, things will be different. Things will be different. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Our next speaker is Michaela Rohr.
Madam Mayor, it appears she has left the meeting.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Katie Rasabi.
Mayor Vaughn and City Council members. My name is Katie Rasabi and I'm running for City Council at Large. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you regarding the vacant at-large City Council seat formerly held by Michelle Kennedy. My concerns around the selection process are: one, can you actually properly evaluate 47 candidates as you sit here tonight and listen to potentially 2.5+ hours of information? And two, does this selection process give a clear edge to the person selected should they be running in the general election, being then an incumbent? The beauty of our country is that it is a representative republic, and it is the people who decide who they want to represent them, not the government. With these concerns, had the 3 at-large city council and mayoral elections been held in November as allowed, this process would be unnecessary, and the people of this city would be deciding who represents them, not the city council. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to speak with you tonight. My name is Katie Rasabi, and I'm running for City Council at Large.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Michael Rubin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, City Council members. I appreciate the opportunity. My family moved down here in 2013. We're relatively newcomers. And I remember when we first came to visit, walking in Friendly Center, ironically. The gentleman started coming towards me, and I'm being a New Yorker, I immediately close up. That's our nature. And he said to me, "Howdy." I was not expecting that. And I had to stop for a second, reassess and say, "Howdy." And suddenly I understood what was so warm and wonderful about this city. We've managed to keep our child alive for an additional 8 years since we've been here. He's now a junior at Weaver Academy. He's thriving there. He's had the opportunities that, frankly, are pretty incredible anywhere in this world. I am not a politician. I have no desire to run after this. However, I do love this city, and I am a cheerleader for the city. And we are at an inflection point right now with so much happening. COVID is not letting up right now. We know that. There's so much that has to be done. That affects health. It affects economics. It affects so much of what goes on in the day-to-day lives of people. And unfortunately, we are in a crisis right now, not just of physical health, but of mental health due to the pandemic. And we need to make sure that these kids, and I see it with my son and his peers, that they are going to be all right as we move forward. So obviously some of the 59 million or so that's in the city, and then of course in the county, since they are responsible for the schools, I hope to see 100 million plus go towards those roles. We have so much opportunity in the city, but I look around as I drive around the city, and every day I drive to High Point and back 6 days a week. My wife drives to Jamestown. And there's so much that we need to do to make sure that everyone not only has the opportunity, but recognizes that those opportunities exist. Some great points were made by Mr. Roberts prior to me. I've heard a lot of great things from many people, and I'm confident that whoever is selected for this position, for the short-term position, is going to do a great job. And hopefully they come to the understanding that it is not about them, but it is about us, and that we as a community can thrive, and that everyone has the opportunity. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. I appreciate the moments and the time. And if selected, I promise to do my absolute best to serve the citizens and the people of this great city. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Rubin. Our next speaker is Nikki Smith.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much.
First and foremost, I'm so impressed with the quality of people that you have brought to the table here tonight. So I want to say thank you to that, first of all. My name's Nikki Smith. My wife and I live on Kemp Road West in Greensboro in the Hamilton Lakes area. I'm a business owner, so I'm going to come at this from a little different perspective. I've been a business owner since 1980 in the technology sphere and have always been involved in technology. I've never been involved in politics, but this position, when it was announced a number of days ago, almost a week and a half ago, had a number of great people in Greensboro, both leaders and others, encourage me to pursue this role. I have a son who went to NC State University, and he works as a computer software engineer for Red Hat in Raleigh, and I have a daughter who plans to stay in the Raleigh area also after completing her Master's of Accounting at UNC Chapel Hill in the spring, and will work for Ernst & Young in audit and CPA. I would like my children to come back to Greensboro someday, and that's my point of this. Born and raised in this area in the Piedmont Triad, I completed my education at Appalachian State University, started my first business in Charlotte with some venture capital money. In 1984, I brought my business to Greensboro, where I've been ever since. I moved my business to downtown Greensboro in 1993, where I have currently about half a floor of the old Guilford building and have had as many as 45 employees. I own a data center, which is obviously a very technology sphere internet business, where we host websites, business applications for companies throughout the state. For the last 15 years, my business has been focused on cloud-based telephone services, hosted messaging, video collaboration like we're using this Zoom tonight, for school districts, for small towns, for county governments, government agencies, including a number of health departments in North Carolina. I've raised my family in Greensboro, and this is my home. I have a strong commitment to my church community, and I'm involved in Crescent Rotary. I have a successful business in Greensboro since 1984 and provide them great careers and opportunities to provide their families with greater income and the ability to learn more about technology and take on major projects that excite them every day. During the recent pandemic, I did not lay off people, but in fact, I hired 3 new high-end support engineers during the
30 seconds
with the gift of the PPP money. I will jump to the end of this. The one important thing I ask of each of you council members tonight is, number one, does the person have the experiences as a successful leader in growing business as a business owner? Number two, does the candidate understand technology and the potential to grow in Greensboro? Number three, are they committed to Greensboro growth and being new business friendly?
Time has expired.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Our next speaker is Heather Stinson.
Ms. Stinson has not joined the meeting, Mayor.
Dr. Linda Wilson.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm a District 3 resident at 2402 Philadelphia Lake Court, and I want to serve in the vacant position on the Gifford County, on the Greensboro City Council. I am a native North Carolinian, a long-term Greensboro resident, ready and committed to working hard to improve the quality of life of Greensboro residents. There are a lot of important decisions to be made over the next couple of months. I want to be a part of that. I came to Greensboro to attend North Carolina A&T State University, and I earned 3 degrees from North Carolina A&T. I raised my 2 daughters here, and they both attended Gifford County schools. For over 35 years, I found a lucrative career serving as a healthcare professional in both the administrative and educational arenas, doing budgetary issues and strategic planning. The experience I acquired in healthcare laid the foundation for my current position, which is Director of Community and Business Partnerships for a local school district. I also served in a very strategic position as Regional Director for one of the largest African-American sorority in the nation. During that time, I was responsible for 3 state program management, 3 state budgeting, and programming. Greensboro is a wonderful city and has been my home for a long time. I have watched this great community become a beacon of the Piedmont Triad area. Like many communities, we face some challenges in economic development, affordable housing, public safety. Each of these issues can and must continue to be addressed. I stand ready to begin addressing these issues immediately. I seek this vacant position on the Greensboro City Council at large, not only because of my years of experience in the community serving on numerous boards, but as I am running because I know that our work today will create a better Greensboro for tomorrow. I am ready to serve. As your Greensboro City Council person, I will support small, local, and women-owned businesses and work to improve opportunities for aspiring small business owners to excel and recover from the atrocity of this pandemic. I will work to attract companies that will provide top-paying jobs for our citizens so they can provide for their families. Affordable housing tops my list of issues that we can continue to address. Low-income residents spend 30 to 40% of their monthly gross income on housing. We need top-paying jobs in our community.
30 seconds.
The safety of our community is important. I am running for this office because I believe in the city of Greensboro, and I believe that the Greensboro need and deserve access to affordable housing and a safe and thriving community. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to the results of this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Our next speaker is Gerald Wong.
Mr. Wong is not in the meeting.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Carolyn Woodruff.
Is my video on? Good.
Yes, it is.
Mayor Vaughn, Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, and esteemed members of the City Council of Greensboro. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Carolyn Woodruff, and I've worked as a lawyer, one city block from the Greensboro Municipal Building for more than 20 years. I live in downtown Greensboro. I understand the heart of Greensboro, a city of diversity as its strength and equality as its mission. I have no special agenda for application for this position. It is my offer to help. I have no special motives, and I do not plan to serve beyond the remainder of this term. Some of you know my record as a community activist. I come before you tonight as someone who has worked to end domestic violence in our community, activist for the hungry, and an advocate for our city's youth and other social justice issues. These are the reasons I offer my service to fill the remainder of Michelle Kennedy's term on City Council. Some years ago, I came before City Council to ask for a resolution for Greensboro Dance Day. You approved this resolution. I started a dance troupe with the Boys and Girls Club with one of the missions as unity in the community. Some of you attended these Dance Day events. I invited the Greensboro police officers to dance with the children with the idea of creating a common language. You see, I believe that understanding each other is key to the reduction of friction in a community. With COVID, domestic violence and child abuse in Greensboro has soared. Recently, I've spent countless hours working on funding for family service, where I serve on the board, to meet these needs. I've spoken at candlelight vigils on domestic violence. I've spoken at public information sessions on domestic violence at the Greensboro Public Library and the Civil Rights Museum. I currently am working on Greensboro hunger issues with the Run the Runway program at the airport to be held this Saturday. Proceeds feed the hungry in our community. Public safety, affordable housing, and equal access to community resources are all critical issues that face Greensboro.
30 seconds.
That we work together to build an economy and city infrastructure that will benefit our entire community. My background as a CPA and a lawyer would enable me to provide in-depth analysis on these topics and help move our community forward. I think heart matters in your selection. My nature is collaborative. I would listen to all the evidence on issues. I would focus on the issues of Greensboro. I'm here to serve if I should be the consensus pick. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Woodruff. Our last speaker is John Wright.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, council. I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. Good news is that we're finally at the end of this. I find myself envious of Council Member Abu Zader in terms of going out in alphabetical order. It's going last is the worst. And that's sort of a theme of what I want to talk about is taking care of those who are last in our city. I've heard everybody speak today, and I think that my first point is that you guys have a heck of a time ahead of you trying to select a member out of this very qualified group, which I'm honored to be a part of. I had prepared a speech like everybody else, but in the risk of becoming an internet meme, I want to go a little bit off the cuff and actually recognize one of the earliest speakers tonight, Mr. George Jones. I was really impressed with him because he embodies a lot of what I believe in Greensboro. Here's a guy who cares about his community and is doing work to help grow our city. And that's what I want to do because I'm very proud of our city, and I'm proud of what it's become. I'm proud that it's a thriving city that continues to grow every year. And I'm proud that I know a lot of people who have decided to relocate here to raise a family and to work and to live life. But being somebody that was born and raised here, I also know people who remain here that may have been passed by some of the opportunities that have come with the city. And so what I want to bring to the council is sort of a balance, because we hear a lot of people talk about how it's important to be a business owner and to understand business. I believe that's true, but it's not enough. You have to understand business as well as understand what the role of government is, and to know that government isn't necessarily business, and that government is here to protect our rights, not just our pocketbooks. I do think that ultimately rising tides lift all boats, and that what is good for the affluent may also be good for those that are in poverty. But I think that to assume that that's the case every time is wrong. And so what I want to bring is a balance between pride in the growth of what we're doing, but an understanding too that government is more than just the sum of all the parts, that there has to be a holistic approach to things. I would bring a sort of a progressive view in the light of Councilmember Kennedy. And I think that I'm the person to fill this in. And I thank you all for your time.
Thank you. And Mr. Wright is our final speaker, our final candidate. And I want to say thank you to all of the speakers who really did a fabulous job. They are dedicated and qualified candidates, and it has been a pleasure to receive the applications and read the resumes. And thank you for this evening.
Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor,
I just wanted to echo what you're saying. This has been fantastic to be able to see and to hear these candidates. Some people I knew, some I didn't know, but I was very impressed. I think the process was a good process. And I just want to commend all of the candidates that applied and came on and shared with us your thoughts about the city and what gifts and talents you have, because we all have gifts and talents. And just thank you so much. And it was great to hear it. I didn't get bored. I didn't get tired. I was just excited to hear so many wonderful people. Thank you. And we need to consider this sometimes for crucial boards. All right.
Yes, that's a good point. We do have a good list of resumes and applications, and certainly I think that there would be good places in the data bank for a lot of these people. So again, I want to say thank you to everybody for the wonderful job that you did. Mrs. Hightower?
Well, I wanted to echo Mayor Pro Tem Johnson. This process was very good. You heard from everybody and everybody had a different specific area they were focused on. I am supporting one candidate that I feel that addresses many of our issues that we have been working on for the last, since I've been here, 7 years. And I'd like to go on and nominate Gary McCants to fill that slot. So because that's kind of where I feel like I'm at right now at this point.
Second.
So we do have a motion and a second for Mr. McCants. Council will vote. Mrs. Hightower?
Yes.
Dr. Wells?
No.
Mr. Outling?
No.
Mrs. Hoffman?
No.
Mrs. Thurm?
No.
Mrs. Busewader?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Yes.
And I am a no. So that that fails on a vote of 2-6.
Ms. Wells has her hand up.
Dr. Wells?
Mayor, and I'd like to proceed to say that I have been impressed with all of the speeches tonight and such potential. But I would like to place a nomination on Hugh Holston as the replacement for Michelle Kennedy's seat.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second for Hugh Holston. Mrs. Hightower?
Well, since my candidate lost, that I absolutely support, and I will support Mr. Holston.
Thank you. Dr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Outling?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Thurm?
Yeah.
Mrs. Busewader?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Yes.
And I am a yes. So that passes 8-0. So at this point, that stops the voting process because we do have a candidate who received the majority of the vote. So I would like to welcome Mr. Holston. I don't know if you have a comment you would like to make. You would be sworn in at our next meeting, which I believe is next Tuesday.
I do. Thank you so very much. Wow. I'm so thankful. Let me first say again, thank you to my wife, my son, our new daughter-in-law, family and friends for their support. I also want to thank the many supporters that I have across the city for all of their advice and their suggestions. And I'll say their tough love when needed. And then also to you, City Council, I want to thank you for entrusting with me the confidence to serve with you as we set out to ensure that Greensboro is and remains the best place to live. I'm honored and I'm humbled and I'm ready to serve. And it's time to get to work. Let's go.
Thank you, Mr. Holston. And city staff will be getting in touch with you to set up the information that you need and to show you your office. You will be sworn in at the next meeting. I do know that there is a zoning meeting on Monday, and Attorney Watts, he would not be a member of the city council until Tuesday. So he can still chair the zoning meeting on Monday and be sworn in on Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Holston, you'll have a busy week next week.
Certainly will. Looking forward to it.
And we'll make sure that, we work with you on the agendas and getting you up to speed on things. I want to thank all of the candidates for their, for reaching out and being a part of this process. I think they've certainly highlighted a lot of things that we need to do within the next 6 to 7 months.
So, Madam Mayor, I have a question.
Yes.
If I may, and maybe Mr. City Attorney. Well, first of all, congratulations, Mr. Holston. It's kind of bittersweet, however, because District 1 loses you as chair of the zoning board. But you are representative of District 1, so welcome. How does he now, he would have to officially resign on Monday? Is that correct? So that I can start to appoint someone at our next meeting, because that is a District 1 seat.
Correct. So if you'll have an appointment ready at next Tuesday's meeting. And we have an awful lot of full zoning agendas in the next few months, which is a good thing because it shows that we've got a lot of interest in the city, and a lot of zoning means that there are a lot of good things happening. So we've got to make sure that we have a good person, as we have had in District 1.
Okay, well, someone comes to mind. I mean, it's just kind of quick. This kind of all just happened, but I will be prepared to go ahead and do that next Tuesday.
Thank you. Thank you. So that actually closes our agenda for today. If there are any quick comments from council, Mrs. Hightower?
Yes, and I told you that I would have some. I'm starting. I would like to appoint a young man by the name of Lacey Colson. I believe I put him in the data bank already, Angie, to the Minimum Housing Commission, replacing Carolyn Biggerstaff, whose term has expired. I have one more, and I have not gotten that person, but I'll be prepared next Tuesday for that one. So can I get a second on that one, please?
Yes, seconded by Mrs. Thurm. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? So that passes 8-0.
I would like to appoint a young lady by the name of Brittany Jackson, a Glenwood resident, to the Human Relations Commission. She would be replacing Mr. Izzard that, I appointed over to the Parks and Rec. So, thank you.
And that is seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Johnson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes 8-0.
I would like to appoint Mr. Carlos Townsend to the War Memorial. He had served a couple other commissions in the past. And one of the last ones he couldn't get his schedule worked out, but he has now gotten a schedule where he is able to make a meeting at 12 o'clock in the day. And he would be replacing Ms. Andrea Coleman, Andrina, sorry, whose term is also expiring.
Do I have a second? Seconded by Mrs. Thurm. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any in opposition?
I'd just like to say Andrina Coleman did a great job while she was on there. Thank you, Sharon, I appointed her first and you appointed her. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
She did.
Yeah, she did a great job, and I hate to see her go from that, but I got some other ideas if she's open. I don't know.
Okay.
So that passes 8-0.
Okay, and that's all I have for tonight. I will have some others next Tuesday.
Okay, Dr. Wells?
I have
No, you took it off.
Okay. I thought that Councilwoman Hightower would mention that the A&T farm opening on the 20th and the celebration 10 o'clock on the 21st.
Well, she only asked me for appointments, so I didn't know she wanted me to. Nancy, did you want
Just
me to?
council comments.
Oh, council.
So you do want me to
just do it all.
Oh,
okay.
I thought it was council comments. Okay.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I wasn't.
You go on,
no.
Sharon, go on and talk about A&T farm.
Well, yeah, the A&T farm, the pavilion, is opening next week at A&T. And it is a grand opening, I believe the 21st, that it will be held next. Is it the 21st or when?
21st at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. So I would ask you all to come out. I think Dr. Wells and I, of course, will be there. Obviously, I'm there because I'm excited because it's in District 1. It's on the farm behind my house, but the pavilion opening is part of the improvements the A&T is doing on the farm. You know, they're going to also be opening a creamery, which is next. So they will have Aggie ice cream, Aggie milk, Aggie product. But the pavilion is the first where the community will be able to come in and also host community events, as well as A&T will be doing different types of meeting venues there. So I'm excited about that. I also want to congratulate Miss Zena Thompson. I was at Habitat for Humanity home dedication this past Thursday. She's in East Greensboro. It is a house that was built by Habitat that replaces one that was totally destroyed by the April 2018 tornado. And we do have about 5 more coming online from Habitat, as well as there are going to be about 10 houses in Willow Oaks as well. So the tornado area is being rebuilt. It has been slow, slower than I would like to see it, but it is being done intentional and deliberate. The homes are very good quality. The homeowners are very excited. And they're creating generational wealth for their family. I think that's an important aspect of home ownership. For many of us, that's the one house we'll ever have in a lifetime. We may never move from one to another, but certainly one we can claim our own. And so that was an exciting time last Thursday. And then last Thursday, we had a 911 experience. That was very enjoyable at GM Metro 911. Got a chance to sit with those who take those calls in. And trust me, they take a lot of calls in. So it was a very interesting experience. Sometimes they're just listening and sounding boards. People are just calling in because they don't know where else to call. Oftentimes, it may not be an emergency in the sense of an emergency, but it's an emergency to the person calling in. And that's done very well. So I was very impressed with that. Was enjoying taking the calls. I think I could become a 911 dispatcher in a short time. I could jump right in, take all kinds of calls and send people all kinds. Didn't get any kind of yucky stuff, but I did get some very good things that came in from my community. So I appreciate Melanie and her team at Metro 911 for having us over there. So thank you.
Thank you. Now back to Dr. Wells.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to say that the whole process that we went through tonight, I thought it was enlightening, quite enlightening. And I want to encourage folks to please still wear your mask. If you haven't gotten a shot, get your shot. Those of us who can get the booster, go ahead and get the booster shot also. We've got to look out for ourselves and our neighbors. So please wear your mask.
Thank you, Dr. Wells. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Yes, Mayor, I covered for you at Kindred Hospital. And
yes, thank you.
I'm glad that you had something else to do because I certainly enjoyed it. They have been ranked very high among the hospital rankings, and it was a celebration. You know, we're always celebrating Cone, which they deserve to be celebrated, but it was nice to celebrate Kindred Hospital and realize or remember that that's the hospital. It was L. Richardson. All 4 of my children were born in. So I had a great time and spoke on behalf of the city and the Chamber of Commerce was there. It was a great day. And I just want to thank you for having something else to do.
Thank you. I appreciate the stand-in. You do me proud all the time.
Well, I'm proud to do it.
Thank you. Mr. Outling.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. 3 points. First, of course, congratulations to Mr. Holston. Look forward to working with you as Greensboro's newest city council member. As others have said, remarkably impressive applications from those who sought to fill the vacancy, and look forward to working with all of those applicants in different contexts, but definitely congratulations to Mr. Holston. Second, I would like to reappoint Zach Engel to the Planning and Zoning Commission, reappointing to the seat that he is currently in.
I believe there's a second by Mrs. Thurm. All in favor by affirmation? Opposed? And that passes 8-0.
Lastly, over the course of the last week or so, of course, a lot of wonderful events. Sharon, Goldie, and others have made reference to many of them. I do, however, get to be the first, I think, to say how wonderful the North Carolina State Folk Festival was this past weekend. Extend a hearty congratulations to all of the persons who made that possible. The board of the organization, all of the terrific sponsors, many of the volunteers, which includes a number of council members who were out there on the bucket brigade and doing other things. It was a remarkable festival, heartening to see people appropriately take health and safety precautions. So congratulations to all those involved in coming together to have such a wonderful event in our community. And that is all. Thank you, Mayor.
Madam Mayor, I forgot something. Could I?
Yes.
I just like, I saw Nancy Hoffman, I saw Mary Kay Abuza-Waiter at the opening of the Tanger Center, which was absolutely fabulous. And I just want to give kudos and the shout outs to for those who were involved in making the Tanger Center what it is. It's a fabulous place. And I just wanted council to know I will not be available after the 25th of this month. I'm going to take a vacation, but I will be back. What's the date of the first meeting in October?
It is October 5th.
I'll be back. Okay.
Good.
All right. I'll be back for that. Thank you for letting me do that, Mayor.
Thank you. Mrs. Hoffman?
Yes, again, I would really like to thank all of the people who committed as candidates, and they're speaking with us this evening. And I hope that certainly some of you will find another way, perhaps, of being involved in the city. And I certainly made a couple of notes of people that I wanted to reach out to. So I appreciate your involvement and coming and talking with us this evening. To just reiterate, the Tanger Center has had 2 fabulous opening weekends. I think Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of this past weekend, which was the Folk Festival weekend, we nearly were sold out for the performances at the Tanger Center on Thursday night, Friday night, and there was a double header on Saturday night. The first one was sold out, and the second show was very close to being sold out. I would also really like to thank Amy Grossman and our Folk Festival staff and the Folk Festival board and the city and all of the many others who made the Folk Festival this weekend another success. This is our 4th North Carolina Folk Festival. It was just a fabulous weekend in every way. I think we've gotten better every year. I think the footprint that we had for the festival this year is the best ever. I think there were some other things, that the fact that we had food trucks really available very close to all stages really made the food and drink situation a lot better for people. So there were just a lot of things that we changed and that made for a better festival this weekend. So, we had certainly good crowds, and again, it's the most, I think it's the most diverse activity that we sponsor in this city, and I think everybody had a great time. And so kudos to our city for being able to support a festival like this.
And Nancy, you're right. I just want to jump in. I had forgot, but I went all day Sunday, so I enjoyed gospel.
The gospel music was great, wasn't it?
It was very great. Enjoyed it. Yes.
Mrs. Thurm?
Yeah, I have a couple things. I want to start out with making two quick appointments. I'd like to appoint Fanta Dorley to participatory budgeting.
Second.
Is she replacing anyone?
It's just an open seat that's not being
Okay.
filled now.
So we have a motion and a second by Mrs. Hightower. All in favor by affirmation. Is there anyone opposed? No one opposed. That passes 8-0.
My second appointment is Deborah Kaufman to Historic Preservation. She'll be taking Max Carter's seat, who has finished his first term and chose not to sit the second term.
Okay. Second for that? Seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor, say aye. Affirmation.
Aye.
That passes 8-0.
Thank you. I wanted to put in a request to our Human Relations Department. I think we're at a point where we really need to have a coordinated calendar of important religious occasions and religious holidays for all the major religions that are celebrated in our community. I know several religions, all religions have multiple holidays, they're minor holidays, they're major holidays. But I think it's important that as a city, we acknowledge the major holidays for all the various religions that are celebrated here, and put out a city calendar each year, marking those holidays, making notes for city staff on what days would be offensive to schedule meetings and programs for, et cetera, so that we can respect the diversity that we greatly love in our community. So if I can ask city staff to have somebody work on that, I think that would be beneficial. Thank you, Chris. And be very helpful. You know, we can also make it available to the general public, because I think there are a lot of business people that would also appreciate, and nonprofits that would appreciate that information as well. I know that different religions have set days versus floating days. This will be something we need to keep up on an ongoing basis. It's not a one and done. It'll have to be done annually, but I think it's worthwhile. I also want to thank all the applicants. We had a great applicant pool and appreciate hearing from everybody. Going on the folk festival, can I say it was great, but I want to give a special shout out to our field ops folks. You know, working downtown last week, you could, from the window of my office, I could watch field ops at work, you know, delivering things and blocking off streets. And I have to say, you know, I left downtown Sunday evening at 6:15 with the festival ended, and there were roads closed everywhere, and there was stuff in the middle of the road. And it was kind of like magic, because I went downtown to work on Monday morning and all the roads were open and I could park where I usually parked and things weren't blocked off. And I know that takes a lot of hard work and a lot of coordination by city staff to pull that off. And just a shout out to all those folks, because I know they worked hard Sunday night after a long week of setup, and it's truly appreciated. And I know our businesses and all the folks that work downtown really appreciated that. So please express our appreciation to city staff for being the magical little elves that made all that happen.
You are right that they did a fabulous job.
That's it. That's all I've got.
Ms. Abuzwaiter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I just want to echo, I won't say it all, but all the applicants, thank them. And I really want to thank the applicants who stayed till the end, because I think that's very important to finish hearing what happens on council. I know that many of them have figured, well, they haven't gotten a position, and I understand that, but I do want to commend those who stayed on to the very end and helped all of us congratulate Mr. Holston because it was a wide range of applicants. And it seemed that most everyone had kind of done their homework and submitted other materials. So I certainly want to thank them. And of course, I want to congratulate you, Mr. Holston. Very much appreciate you applying and being willing to serve. So thank you very much. Everyone's talked about the wonderful opening of the Tanger Center, the Folk Festival, and along with what Tammy's saying, I think our DOT office, field ops, our police department, everyone worked together. And especially thanks to all the volunteers who made it happen. I know that was a massive endeavor for those directors to get volunteers, but it seemed like everything was working well. I know the mayor has volunteered, Mrs. Thurm and I volunteered, Bucket Brigade, and that's really a lot of fun. If y'all ever get a chance to do it, please volunteer. There may be other council members who volunteer. I'm just the ones I saw. Everyone, I want to mention to my colleagues, if you get a chance, get up with Dabney Sanders and take the Greenway tour. I know there's some people taking it perhaps in a week or so, but it was amazing to go on a golf cart around the whole Greenway and see all of the artwork. And it just made me want to go walk the Greenway more. You see so much more when you do the entire loop. So hoping to get the rest of it done soon so we can have a continuous loop around the city of the downtown portion of the city of Greensboro. And also was mentioned about our GM 911 experience. Mrs. Hightower mentioned that. That was a great experience to see what the operators go through all day long. For 12 hours, they sit at those consoles. And I can't imagine some of the calls they get. So I know they're looking for employees. If anyone knows anyone out there who might consider that for a career, they can get a hold of the GM 911. I did fail to appoint someone, board and commission. I would like to reappoint Chidi Aquari to the War Memorial Commission.
Second.
And seconded by Mrs. Hightower. And I think the city attorney said that I can do so. What was the phrase you used, Mr. City Attorney?
Without objection.
Without objection. So that passes without objection.
There you go. Thank you all so much. That's all I had, other than everyone still please wear your mask. If you know people who are unvaccinated, gently entice them to get a vaccination if you so wish. And, you know, I still think social distancing is something we need to think about. So everyone be careful and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Cone did a great job at the Folk Festival. They had a tent set up. Every time I went by, it was full, which was a great thing. I think they did a couple hundred of vaccinations. And I believe that that most are eligible to get the booster if you want it, and that they're relatively easy to schedule. I do want to just mention again, reiterate what everybody has said about the Folk Festival. It really was an amazing weekend. And I do like the new footprint. I like that we went across the tracks, and on Saturday, we had the celebration for the first responders in recognition of 9/11, the 20th anniversary, right by the wonderful statue that Jim Gallucci did, along with the steel from the trade centers. We had two great bands down there. There was food. It was a great space, and it activated some of the stores and restaurants across the tracks who in the past have said, we need to close up because nobody comes this way during the Folk Festival. It was one of the busiest weekends that Greensboro has ever had. In addition to the Folk Festival, there were events at the Coliseum. There was the State Fair. As was said, there were a bunch of Tanger performances. There was the 9/11 stair climb, and then the increase of the footprint. So that was an extremely busy weekend, and Greensboro did a really great job of doing all of those simultaneously. And it couldn't have been done without our wonderful volunteers. They did a fabulous job. And I do want to thank all of our city employees who were involved in Arts Greensboro. It was a great event. They just keep topping it every year. And field ops, again, as Tammy said, did a wonderful job. They were out there emptying the trash all the time, making sure, that it looked good and it was good. And for that, I appreciate. And I do want to thank our sponsors. I know there were many, but Lee Wrangler and Town Bank, they come through every year. And so I just want to say thank you to all of that. And I think that is all I have this evening. Mr. City Manager?
Nothing this evening other than to say I would echo all the comments with regard to the activities this weekend. And we actually are going to recognize the employees at an event coming up soon to make sure they know how much we appreciate all the hard work.
Good. Thank you, Chris, for doing that. Because
yes, thank you.
They often don't get the recognition they deserve. And they are some great guys. And they had great personality on Sunday. Commissioner Coleman came on Sunday and they attended to her like she was a city council person. They took very good care of her. So they are a good group of workers. They really are.
Aaron, great guys and great women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there are some of them too. Let's don't leave them out by no means. But yeah, they need the recognition. They deserve it.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney?
I have nothing other than to congratulate you all for making it through this process.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a smooth evening. Thank you all very much. If we could have a motion to adjourn. Moved by Mrs. Johnson, seconded by Dr. Wells, and without objection, we will adjourn. Thank you.
New phrase for the year.
Yes.
Without objection.
Without objection.
Good
night.
Good night.